Welcome to Travel Talk with Joy. I'm Joy. I've traveled to all 50 states. I've been to all 7 continents. On most of my adventures, I do it with my husband, who's a full-time wheelchair user. Come meet amazing people who travel through life a little differently as we explore the world of accessible travel. Let's go! Welcome everyone to Travel Talk with Joy. We are having a great day today because we have the one and only Wheelchair PAPI.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
I'm so excited because your content is fun. It keeps everyone like a little spicy,
Yeah.
but also you are this dad. You have a lot going on, and it's a joy to follow you. So thank you so much for being on with us.
I appreciate that. Yeah, I try to make it different. I like to do a little spicy, but educating like both, two birds in one stone. So I feel like I'm one of the pioneers to kind of help be vulnerable and talk about certain topics that most people don't want to talk about and give others the confidence to, shine light on how they do certain things or how they do it. So someone has to be that person to, kind of pave the way. I've been injured 10 years, and in the 10 years I've been injured, I haven't seen people making topic videos like what I've been able to kind of talk about and open up with and be vulnerable. And I think it's good for the community. So I try to, do a little bit of everything on my page for sure.
I love it. I think it is so important because otherwise people just see like the shiny sides of a content creator's life, and there's a whole lot more to it. So
Right.
let's just dive in and tell us a little bit about how you became in the disability community and go from there.
Yeah. So in 2014, I suffered a motorcycle accident. At the time, my daughter's mother was pregnant. So she gave me the keys to go hang out with the boys and whatnot, during football season. So went out with some of the friends, and on the way home, just an unfortunate accident. I was going through a new, like a back road I wasn't familiar with. I was trying to catch up to the guy in front of me, my cousin actually, who was in front of me. So as I was trying to catch up to him, some of the dirt was in my eyes because I was wearing a blacked out, like smoked out visor you're supposed to wear like during the day, and you're supposed to kind of swap them out, put the clear one back on. And when I left, I didn't think about these things. I didn't think we would be out, as late as we were. So I just grabbed my stuff. I got the okay to go, and it's just an accident, just a typical accident that, it changed my life. But in some ways it changed it for the better. So here I am today, and thriving and just making the best out of my new life. But yeah, just a freak accident, went up 20 feet in the air, landed on my shoulder blades, woke up in the ambulance, doctor telling me I'm paralyzed from the chest down. I had a T4 burst fracture, which left me paralyzed, complete injury from the chest down. So it was definitely life-changing for me and everyone around me. But like I mentioned, sometimes, life changes, but it doesn't mean it has to be, bad. You can make good out of some bad. So here we are.
So for people that don't really know, like a T4 complete injury is no sensation below about
chest.
like nipple level,
nipple
mid-chest.
level. Yeah. Nipple,
Yes.
mid-chest. Yeah. Nipple level down. Yeah. Yep.
Yes.
No motor or
Okay.
sensation. Pretty much nothing.
Right.
Yeah.
So the recovery of that, of transfers and learning to dress and that whole process, how long were you in the hospital?
I was in the hospital. I was in John Peter Smith where they did my fusion. I think I was there for like 2 weeks, and then they transferred me to Baylor Rehab in Dallas. It goes by BIR, Baylor Rehab. I want to say it's like Baylor International Rehab. I think it's BIR is what it goes by, which is pretty well known in the Texas area for like spinal cord rehabilitations. I've visited many patients there who have suffered spinal cord injuries as well. And it's, bittersweet going there and talking to newly injured people. But yes, I was there. I went to BIR. I was there for like 2.5 months, and then I got released about late November, early December. Yeah. It's about
Were you
two
living
and a
by
half months.
Were you living by yourself before?
I wasn't. No, at the time I was with my daughter's mother at the time. She was about 2-3 months pregnant when I got paralyzed, but we were in rehab. So I think she was maybe 6 months pregnant when I got released.
Okay.
Yeah.
So going through the physical adjustment and also the mental adjustment to spinal cord injury, how is that process for you?
I mean, early on, it's like my life is over. You just, you don't at that time. So it's so crazy now because I feel like someone in today's time, if they get paralyzed today, I think there's so many people out there they can look for inspiration to. Like so many people are doing so many different things, different avenues. And in 2014, we didn't have that, which is one of the reasons why I do what I do today. So there wasn't no one to look up on Instagram or Facebook or TikTok wasn't even around, or YouTube. There was a couple guys on YouTube to be like, oh, there is life after this injury. So when you have everything, you know, you're 26 years old, you got the best job you could have, making the most money you can make. You got the woman you want to be with, you know, everything's going good. And then the minute it's like, boom, you're paralyzed, you never walk again. Everything just came crumbling down for me. And it was tough, you know, it was hard, but you just have to figure it out one day at a time. You know, I always tell people when I meet them in the hospital, it's hard now, but just like anything in life, the more you transfer, the more you change, the more you just try to figure out a routine, the easier it gets for you. So it took a while. It took me 2 years. It took me losing a lot of things in my life for me to kind of have that wake up call and be like, this injury is taking everything from me and I can't let it do that. So that's when it kind of gave me that little kick to like try to do things for myself.
What do you think pivotal moment for you was in that?
I think it was after my daughter was born. It was just like I couldn't be selfish. It was like it wasn't about me anymore. It was like, okay, I have a daughter and I come from a pretty strong upbringing, like family wise. It's like as far as like tough. And I was like, there's no way that I'm gonna let this not let me be a father, because I didn't really have the best parenting growing up. So I wanted to be different, you know? So like when I say tough, I don't mean tough like hard. I mean tough like I didn't want to be like where I came from. I wanted to be different, and I wasn't going to let this stop me from being the best father that I could be for my daughter. So as she was born and I started to just like hold her and things, I was like, yeah, there's no way that I can let this injury like prevent me from being the best father I can be for her. So that was definitely like the motivation I needed.
So, you know, they say like recovery requires resilience and
Mm,
grit, and not everybody has it.
no,
No, I feel like really in the just in spinal cord injury in general, and just in injury in general, a lot of people don't have that grit that uh, that it takes to get through it, because it's tough. It's
it
tough
is
for, like you
tough.
say, 2 years for you.
Yeah.
For
It
two
took about
years
two
was really
years. Yeah.
in that
Hmm.
place. Did you have anybody like that is in your support system that was really cheering for you, or was this like, no, this has got to be an Anthony? Or how did you? What
Yes.
was your support system?
So my support system really was myself, but that was because I pushed everyone away. Like I didn't want no one to feel sorry
Mm,
for me or baby me. I'm a Leo, so I feel like it's very prideful, like a lot of pride. So when
yeah,
people wanted to do things for me, I do have to shout out my cousin Eddie. My cousin Eddie, even though I'd be like, "Nah, I'm good. I don't need no help." Like he would still come help me, and you know, he wouldn't do it for me, but he would be there to make sure I didn't fall and like things like that early on. So he was probably the only one who was like, because everyone else, I'm like, I'm good. I don't need help. They'll be like, all right, cool. And just leave me alone. But he would be like, well, I don't care. I'm coming anyways. And you can do it. And I'll just make sure you do it right, or you don't hurt yourself or something like that. So he's probably the main one. My daughter's mother, when we were still together at that point, she was very, very there for me a lot as well. So I can't take that from her as well. So them two are probably my most crucial, you know, people when it came to early on in the injury. And then, you know, me and her, we had a falling out and it was like a mutual thing. So it wasn't because I was paralyzed, just things started to just kind of crumble. And
yeah,
when I was by myself at that point, it's like I kind of pushed everyone away because I was like, okay, I know I can do this. Like, there's no way like I'm not going to be able to do this. And that's where the grit and the resilience and everything really came out. That Leo, that dog inside of me was like, all right, everyone can
get it.
count me out and think I can't do it. I'm gonna prove everyone wrong. So that's why I say sometimes some things have to happen for other things to like bring that fire out of you. You know what I mean? Because a lot
Yeah,
of things I'm doing today, I could have been doing in 2014. I just didn't think I could do it because people were kind of catering to me and babying me. And don't worry, I'll get it for you. Or don't worry, I'll go to the store. But when you ain't got no one to go to the store and there's no Uber Eats or nothing around, you got to figure out how to get in the car and go get it. So I needed that because in 2014 there wasn't Uber Eats where if I wanted food I can call that. You know, there wasn't
yeah,
DoorDash or none of this stuff. If I needed medication or whatever, so you either had someone bring it to you or you got up and got it yourself. And when I was with my daughter's mother, or I had friends helping me, I was being babied, whether they saw it or not. Like they was doing it for me. So then, when it was times I needed to go places by myself, I didn't. Who was going to help me take my chair apart? Who was going to put it together? Because everyone was doing it for me. So it took me to push everyone away and just be like, I can do this. I'm going to figure it out, to kind of get me to that next level of independence and knowing like I can do anything I put my mind to, really, except probably not
yeah.
walk because I just physically can't do that. But everything else I can do.
Yeah. You know, though, there was a picture that you showed of yourself, and I thought this is why I like you, because you showed a picture of yourself that you were probably, I don't know, 40 pounds heavier, 50 pounds heavier
Like
than you
60
are now.
pounds. Yeah, 60
60
pounds. Yeah.
pounds.
Yeah.
And it's hard to lose weight when you use a wheelchair because
Mhm.
you don't have the same large muscle groups working, and at some point you looked at yourself and said, no, this isn't
Yeah.
who I want to be. Like, talk about how that went, because I do think that's such a struggle for a lot of people that have disabilities, is to be staying fit.
Well, for me, I've always, not to sound like arrogant or conceited or cocky, but I've always felt like I was always a really good looking guy. Um, Even in my walk, like in my walking days, like I've always been a very like, fashion, dressed nice, very well
uh,
groomed, take care of himself, haircut weekly. I've just always been that way. So after I got hurt and I went through that depression state and I just gained all that weight because I was feeling sorry for myself, just eating,
mhm.
sleeping all day. I would literally look at myself in the mirror and just like turn away. Or if I would roll by a mirror, I would just not even look at myself. And that was the thing where I would look at myself and be like, "Oh, my outfit looks good," or "I'm looking good." Just the self love, self confidence type of thing. And I didn't have any of that anymore. And I just remember one day I got out the shower, and at this time my hair was down to my shoulders because I didn't care to go to a barber shop because at the time I didn't think I could drive. And the times I asked people if they can take me, they were all either at work or couldn't take me at the time I had made a requested an appointment for. So at that point, I was like, you know what? I'm just going to let my hair grow. So a lot of people don't know I let my hair grow is because I couldn't find a ride to a barbershop and I didn't want to ask people. I was already depressed.
Yeah.
And the times I did ask, I'm like, hey, can you give me a hair? Can you take me to get my haircut? And they're like, oh, well, I don't get off work till 5. And I'm like, oh, well, my appointment's at 3. And they're like, oh, yeah, sorry, I can't, So I just didn't want to ask anyone. So my hair grew for like a year and a half until I finally started to like get confident enough to drive on my own and do things. But one day I got out the shower, my hair was all long. And I looked at myself in the mirror and I just told myself, like, who am I? Right? I'm who am I? I don't even know who I am. And I said, there's just no way I can live my life like. There's no way that all these years of my life, I've been confident, man. There's no way that I'm gonna just look at myself and be like embarrassed of what I see. And at that moment forward, I went to the kitchen and I cut a hole on the top of the trash bag and I put it on top of me and I put a sweater on over it. And I went outside and just went up and down my driveway. I made my own little sauna suit to help me sweat
No
because
way. Sweatsuit.
being like a sweatsuit, yeah, because being paralyzed. So when I was younger, I used to box. I used to be in boxing.
Yeah.
My dad was my coach, so we had a team. And when we needed to cut weight, we would put trash bags on and run, like go run to help us burn, lose a little bit of water weight and whatnot. So being paralyzed from the chest down, it's really hard to sweat. It's really, really hard to sweat. So I'm like, okay. And that just took me back to like those days. I'm like, oh, I think I have a trash bag. So I went and got it, cut a little hole on it, put it on. You put a hoodie on and just went up and down the driveway like 5 or 6 times. And at this point, my belly's big. Being paralyzed, you already got no core, and the driveway was like sloped. So already going up the driveway was hard, just so I did it like 5 times and I was like burnt out. I'm like, yeah, I'm done. Like I can't do. I was so out of shape. I hadn't worked out. I was like 200 something pounds, just not my, when you're in the hospital too, you lose a little bit of the muscle you have and whatnot. So I was just completely weak and I did that, but that encouraged me and motivated me. Like, all right, if I did that, I can do it again. So I did it the next day and I just continued to do it to where I was doing 20 to 30 and then I got to like 50 and I'm like, okay, now I think I've advanced from this and I need to start doing laps like around the block, just doing laps around the block. And I want to say it was a Super Bowl party. It was something, I can't remember what, but it was something where one of my friends picked me up and it was like a group of us and someone told me, you looking like the old Anthony, because I had gained a lot of weight. So when they told me that, it let me know that my hard work was being seen. And that was the moment where I was like, all right, this is working. Like what I'm doing is working. It's time to turn it up another notch because I'm not the old Anthony. I'm the new Anthony. So this is a chance to reinvent myself. And that's when I got, into the gym, met some friends at the gym, just going every day, seeing the same people. And next thing you know, went from going from wearing extra large, to large to medium. And I'm starting to feel confident again. And, just every day, everything starts to become a normal routine now. So like I go to the gym every
Yeah.
day. So it's just normal for me now. I don't wake up and dread it like I used to when I first started. I'm like, I don't want to go. Now it's like, all right, it's 11 o'clock, time to go to the gym,
Time to
So
go.
yeah.
One thing that I love about this story is what you did didn't take any extra equipment except for a trash bag. You
Mm-hmm.
know what I
To
mean?
start. Yeah.
Because people
I
are
tell
like,
people that all the time. Yeah.
oh, they have those kind of excuses of, I can't because,
Mm-hmm.
oh, I don't have the racing chair. I don't have the hand
Yep.
cycle. I don't have
I
this.
don't
I
have
don't
a
have that.
gym membership. Yeah. Yeah. I started
I
without a
can't, I
gym
can't,
membership. Yeah.
that's incredible. Like
Yeah.
that's where like you have that grit. That's like that internal
Mm-hmm.
grit that,
Got that dog in me. Yeah.
dang,
Yeah.
yes. Yes. How long
Yeah.
did it take to lose the 60
Man, I
pounds?
mean, I'm still losing weight now. I'm still haven't hit like what my dream or my goal, what I want to look like yet. But it to get to like that level where like transfers were super easy because people don't realize losing weight helps everything, not just your confidence and how you feel about yourself and self love, but your transfers and like when you do like if you're like
Dressing.
everything, yeah, sure, everything, like literally everything you require, like getting on the shower bench, like just every
Yeah.
little thing, not just in the car, whatever. Like there's times where I've done roller coasters, right? And I'm telling you, the times where, and it's an easy roller coaster, not nothing crazy, but you still got to transfer into the roller. And if my belly was still big like that, it might not have went. The thing might not have went down. So
Yeah.
just, yeah. So I'm not saying everyone needs to be super fit, but health is wealth, and like just taking care of yourself, and especially being in a wheelchair, is like you have to push that weight around, you know, and if
Shoulders.
your shoulder, yeah, exactly. So if you can lose whatever you can and just be healthy, it's just a recipe for success, for the long run.
Wow. So,
Yeah.
what's the biggest piece of advice that you would give someone who has had a disability like yours of like h- how to get back into like feeling yourself again?
I always tell people like, because people, I meet people and they're like, well, how do I do? What do I do? I said, look, at the end of the day, you need to look at yourself in the mirror and ask yourself, how bad do you want it? Because at the end of the day, only you can do it. I can't do it for your mom, your brother, your sisters. How bad do you want it? Do you really want to make a change, or do you want to make an excuse? Because we all can make excuse. I can make an excuse every day. I'm paralyzed. My shoulders hurt. My arms hurt. But that's not going to help me hit my goals. I want to get sexy. I want to look good. I want to be Calvin Klein model in a wheelchair with some Calvin Klein briefs on.
Yes. Yeah,
And
you do.
in order to achieve that, I know the work it takes to get there. So how bad do you want to get there for what you want to do? If you don't want to do anything, you just want to be lazy and not do nothing, then cool, by all means. But it all starts with you, hard work, dedication, and just believe in yourself. And how
Mhm.
bad do you want it?
Well, I know one thing that I'm sure your daughter sees all this and she's so proud of who you are
Yeah,
because you like are so like you're getting it in life, you know?
yeah,
And so let's talk about her and being a single dad.
right.
So,
My sign right here, ACIC. That's actually my mantra right here. This is Ant Can I Can. Like that's my brand. That's like my brand logo. So speaking of my daughter, like there's times where I take her outside and we go for a walk around the pool, or I'll put her on the treadmill while I'm lifting weights in the apartment gym, just to keep her active too, and
yeah,
imply a healthy lifestyle with her as well, and so she can see like my dad's not making me do it. We're doing it together. You
yeah.
know. I don't just let her do while I just sit around. I'm work. So anytime I'm like, "Are you good? Can you do it?" She's like, "If Aunt can, I can," because that's my saying.
Tell me
So
again
she
what you're
uses it.
saying.
It's ACIC. So Aunt can, I can, right? So basically,
Ant
lets people,
can.
yeah, like if I can do it, they can do it. Like Anthony can, I can. So ACIC right there. Yeah.
Oh,
So, but if
I
people just
like
shorten
that.
it Anthony to Ant, so Aunt can, I can, right? So there's times where I've told her like, "Do you want to do it? Are you good?" And she's like, "If Aunt can, I can." I said, "That's right." So like implying that in her at 9 years old is like it's rubbing off. Like it's the message is so much bigger than just me saying it. My daughter is living this lifestyle of, if my dad can do it, I can do it. And that right there means everything to me.
Absolutely.
Yeah, everything to me. Yeah. So we're at cheer and everything. I'm like, "Baby, you good? You gonna do it?" She goes, "If Aunt can, I can." I said, "That's right. Let's get it. Let's go. Let's do it." So
I
yeah, so
love it.
just goes back to what you said about my daughter. But what was the question? I'm sorry.
It was just general talking about this, but
Okay.
like, how do you feel like being a single dad in a chair has given you, like, how is that unique perspective on parenting different for you?
Well, I was never an able-bodied dad, so I really don't know what it was like or what it's like to be an
That's true.
an able-bodied father. This is all I know. This is all my daughter knows. So for us, we just navigating new things every time I get her. So as a co-parent father, I get her every first, third, and fifth weekends, and then we go back and forth on holidays and whatnot. So me and her mother have a great co-parent relationship. I do want to say, if I wanted her today and she was available and they weren't doing anything, she would bring her to me. And I live in the area where her school is at. I made sure to live in the school district, so
It's
that way
important.
I'm able to do the donuts with dad and the school plays and all that. So I'm very involved in my daughter's life. So I've done daddy daughter dances, ballet, spinning around in my wheelchair, having her on my lap. I mean, I figure it out when it comes to her. Like the song "Ain't No Mountain High Enough," like to keep me from getting to you, baby. So like I live by that. So whatever it takes to do, we'll do it. We figure it out. She understands that, and she also understands that daddy has to protect her. So a lot of times she may want to say, "Dad, I want to go to Five Below, or I want to go to the mall, or I want to go to Target," and I'm like, "Baby, it's really busy right now, and I don't feel safe taking you with the big crowds of people because you just can't trust people in today's time. We live in such a crazy time now. Like back in my days, I'm 36. Back in my days, my mom would probably let me walk to Walmart. You know what I mean? In today's time, like kids are getting taken, out in the front yards and things like that. It's just a lot of just crazy stuff going on. So I have to kind of explain a lot of that to her. Like, I just, for your protection, she's like, well, I'm bored and I want to do this. And I'm like, well, let's go on Amazon and let's find it on Amazon. And then daddy will get it primed order and it'll be here tomorrow. So just having to understand to her that, that there is things that, cause she doesn't have to worry about that with her mother. She has an able-bodied mother. So if someone grabs her and runs or whatnot, they have a better chance of keeping versus me. If they grab her and there's stairs, I got to go find the ramp to go down. And, just so many obstacles that I think a lot of people don't think about when it comes to being a disabled parent, but I think about all these things. I'm a warrior, so I always think about stuff like that. So getting her to understand that, and now that she's getting older, now that she's 9, she understands a lot more now. But it was the earlier ages where she's like, her mom's like, she's bored, and I'm like, well, let me explain to you why. And she's like, oh, that makes sense. I'm like, yeah. So it does come with some challenges, and there is some obstacles, but we just have to figure it out, and just hope that, in the next 10 years, maybe the world gets a little more accessible, because I don't think being paralyzed is a problem. I think the world is not made for wheelchair users to navigate freely, so I think that'll definitely help, in the future, especially like with amusement parks. I've seen like I was got on roller coasters and stuff I was mentioning. So there is some rides now that are accessible where, they have like an extra piece they put on for you to transfer on and things like that. And there is even some where you can just roll your wheelchair right on. It has a little ramp where you can roll, your wheelchair on, like Universal Studios. I think it was the Mario Kart, you can transfer on. And then they had like the Secret House of Pets or something like that where you can just roll your wheelchair on. So there is stuff out there they are making accessible to be able to do those type of things with your children. So that's pretty awesome.
Have you heard about the theme park in Texas that is 100% wheelchair accessible?
Yeah. Well, I don't think it's it's called like Morgan's, right? It's like a water park or something.
Yes.
Yeah. So I'm in Texas. Yeah. I'm in Texas. So
You
I
should
think
take
it's in
her
San
there
Antonio.
sometime.
Yeah. It's in like San Antonio or something like that. Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
I
It is
met
definitely
someone
something.
recently. It sounded really, really cool.
Yeah, I haven't really I know what it is. I've heard about it because people have mentioned to me, because I've been to water parks with my daughter and I'm kind of just watching her on the lazy river and just rolling around and make sure I could, she's with someone like my sister or with someone, but
Yeah.
just me being a dad, just kind of going around. And there's been times where I'm like, man, I wish I could just, go up the elevator to go down a water slide, but they don't have elevators, to do that. It's stairs, to go up those things.
Yeah.
So, and I made a
But this
video
one is
talking
totally
about
accessible.
it. Yeah, but this one's accessible. Well, the point I was going to say is I made a video saying like, man, I wish there was times where I could just do a water slide with my daughter and, go down. And people were like, well, it's not a water slide, but there is an accessible water park, in San Antonio called like Morgan's Wonder World or something along those lines. I can't remember the exact name, but
I
we
think they
definitely
have
have
a
to
water
check it out.
park and I think it's a water park and like a
Amusement, like theme
like a
park.
featured amusement park. Yeah.
Yeah.
So check that
Okay.
out.
Well, yeah, I'm gonna have to check that out. Yeah, but I know for sure. I think that I've been told. I think the water park part for sure.
So how do you balance between being a dedicated dad and then you're a big time content creator and doing a lot of things otherwise? Like how do you balance that?
So like I mentioned, I get my daughter every first, third, and fifth weekend. When it's her time, it's her time. I don't do content when I have her unless I get the okay from her. But when I do content, it's content with her, like daddy daughter content. So she really has the key for that. So there's times where I'm like, baby, you want to record some video? And she's like, nah, I don't feel like it. I'm like, okay. And then there's times where she's like, Dad, I saw this video, I want to do it. So she knows what I do. So balancing it that, because there was times early on where like I would have her and like I would be filming or doing stuff and and her mom would be like, hey, Maya said that you weren't really paying attention to her today. I'm like, well, we were making a video together, but she didn't want to make the video. You know what I mean? So she was feeling like me. So and I want my daughter's voice to always feel heard. I never want her to feel like she says something to her mom and I'm like, oh, well, I don't care. Like I don't do that. So I make sure she's okay with it. So when I have her, it's dedicated time to her. And that's how I balance that out. And it's been really well because I don't force it on her. I don't push her to want to do it. If she wants to do it, we'll do it. If not, we watch movies or we'll go to a movie theater or go have dinner or do something and let her know that her time is valuable just as much as what I do for work.
So how did you get from your injury and recovering and then get into content creation, modeling? Talk about that journey a little bit.
So I got paralyzed. Let me tell you, I'm gonna go down the timeline. So I got paralyzed.
I got time.
Yeah. Okay. So I worked in oil and gas for almost 10 years. I worked in oil and gas. When I got paralyzed, I was still at oil and gas. I went back to work 6 months after my injury because I was on short-term disability. So my short-term disability was out. I got a letter saying if I didn't come back to work, they were going to have to lay me off or let me go.
Okay.
Being that my daughter was like 2 months born, I'm like, there's no way, like, I'm not going to have a job and have insurance and everything else. So I went back to work. I still had a big brace on, everything. People was like, bro, you just got paralyzed. You back at work? I'm like, bro, bills got to get paid. Like, I got a family at home, bro. So like, there's not like, I have to make sure, bills are taken care of. So people were just blown away. And for me, it was just doing what I do, you got to take care of the family. So went to work. Well, in oil and gas, it's such an up and down market that it got slow. So they did like a mass layoff. This is in 2016 in Texas. So the oil and gas, they started to go down. So they laid off everyone in the company except me. And I want to say like maybe 2 weeks after that, the supervisor, the manager, he called me into the office and I already knew. When he called me in, I'm like, he's never called me. I already knew. So he's like, hey, Anthony, can I talk to you? And at that point I knew. I'm like, damn, man, they got me. So I roll in there and he's like, hey, I think you know why I called you in here. And I'm like, yeah. He goes, I tried to hold off as much as I could because I was there for so long. So I knew these people. I grew up with these people. I started working there when I was 18. I was 26.
Dang.
Yeah, I was 26, so like they grew up. I grew up with them and I knew him, I worked, I didn't work for him, but I knew him from working there, good guy. His name's Darren. And he was like, yeah, man, but I held off as long as I can, but I'm going to have to let you go. But I'm going to put you on the rehire list. So as soon as we get busy, I'll rehire you. I'm like, all right, cool. And, I was there so long, I got a severance package and whatnot. But still, I'm like, damn, I ain't got a job. I think they gave me like a month of insurance, too, because I had to use catheters and stuff like that.
Of course.
So I'm like, dang, man, like, what am I going to do? I don't have a job. My daughter's mother, we were still together at the time. And I had her quit because she was taking care of me and just had the baby. So I was like, yeah, don't worry about work. Like, I'm going to go back to work. I'm going to take care of everything. Yeah. I had a decent little savings. So now I'm like, yo, you might have to go back to work because I just got laid off. She's like, stop playing. I said, no, like, I need you to come pick me up because I literally got laid off. She's like, you're lying. I'm like, no, I'm not lying. So she came pick me up. Yeah. So then she come pick me up and then whatever happened. So after that, I'm like, dang, what do I do? Like, what can I go? Where can I go from here? So I'm applying everywhere possible. About a year's went by because you get unemployment. I don't know how they do it now. I mean, I haven't been on unemployment since 2016, I think is when it was. But they gave you a year of unemployment. So I wrote the unemployment for a year. I don't know if it's still like that now, but I wrote it for a year, and you get a letter saying like, hey, your last payment is on this day. And I'm like, dang, man, like, what am I going to do? So I had to find a job. So I went online. I looked for jobs everywhere. I'm talking everywhere. Places I didn't even think what I apply at. I just applied just to see if I could get an interview. And so Walmart actually called me back, but Walmart called me back to be a cashier. Mm-hmm. So they're like, hey, Anthony, we got your application. We wanted to interview you for a cashier position. And I'm like, in my head, I'm thinking like, I ain't never seen no wheelchair cashiers, like, because the thing's high. Like, I'm like, well, I'm actually in a wheelchair. So do you have like an accessible register or like something where I could roll up on to get, and they were like, we don't. But how about you come in? Because we do have a position for a door greeter. And I'm like, oh, door greeter. I'm already sitting down. Like, cool. So I go to Walmart. I fill out the application. I do the interview thing in the back. I forgot what it was called. The orientation thing in the back. Answer these questions, and then the lady comes in and she's like, hey, so can you start Monday? I'm like, cool, like, yeah, let's do it. So I get a job at Walmart and I'm working part-time at Walmart. And content creating is something I've always done. It just wasn't called content creating. Like, I would always post pictures and videos of my daily stuff. And even when I was working at Walmart, I'd post stuff on my stories, working and like putting stuff on shelf, like just the Halloween decor, y'all come in. Mm-hmm. It just wasn't a term content creator really, like, so I always was in the realm of loving taking pictures. And like, you remember I told you I was like a very confident guy my whole life. So I was always taking pictures back in the days, like you go eat somewhere, you post a picture and put it on your page. Now people put it like on their stories, but back in the day there wasn't stories. So, so I worked at Walmart, and then the oil and gas company called me back and they were like, hey, we're hiring. This is 2 years done past at this point. and hey, are you still looking for work? We would love to bring you back if if you're still interested. So I went back. I worked at Walmart for like 8 months, and then they brought me back to the oil and gas company. So I was there maybe 4 months, and my best friend is an engineer. He went to college, master's degree, engineering. He calls me. He's like, hey, shout out to my boy Hank. He said, hey, do you want to work as an engineer? I said, bro, how am I going to work as an engineer? I didn't go to college. Like, be for real. He's like, no, they want to hire someone that they can train within. Like, they don't care if you went to school or not. They just want someone who's dependable and who can learn. And I told him about you. And I'm like, for real? He's like, yeah. He's like, I can set you up an interview. So I was like, yeah, set it up. So he sets up the interview. I go have the interview with the owner of the company. The next week, I have an offer letter. Never got an offer letter in my life. I was like, hey, is he gonna call me back or what? He's like, he was like, he said he sent you an offer letter to your email, and I'm like, what is an offer letter? Like, because I've only worked in warehouse jobs, right? So I'm like, what is an offer letter? And he's like, it's a letter to offer you like the position, the salary, and big vacation time, whatever he offers you. He's like, check your email, and I'm like, oh dang, because I didn't know. I'm just waiting for a call back. And I checked my email, and sure enough, I had an offer letter that was sent like that previous Friday. So I'm like, dang, he probably done hired someone, thought I didn't want the job. And I called him, his number's on there, and I'm like, hey, I just got your email. I know you sent it a week ago. Is the position still available? He's like, well, I was waiting on you, but I was getting ready to look for someone else if you don't want the position. I was like, I'll take it. So he's like, all right, cool. Yeah. So I was like, when do I start? And he was like, when do you want to start? I was like, what do you mean? He was like, I mean, you can start whenever you want. You can want to start Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. I'm like, dang, this is a cool job. I'm like, yeah, I'll start next week so I can take 1 week off and kind of mentally prepare, for having this job. So I started that next week, and this was in 2017. I worked there for 2017 to all the way to 2020, and COVID happened, and some things went on there with COVID. Like, they didn't want to let me work from home. My spinal cord doctor wanted me to work from home because of like the compromised immune system. And they didn't want to let me work from home because they're like, if we let you work from home, everyone's going to want to work from home. And I'm like, I'm not asking to work from home. I'm telling you, my doctor wants me to work from home, because I didn't even care to work from home. I was cool with just going, to the workplace. But my doctor called me and was like, hey, are you working? And I was like, yeah. And they're like, are you working in the office or home? And I was like, I'll go in the office. They're like, no. We're calling all our SCI patients that are, with compromised, breathing, with higher level injuries, because if you get COVID, you can die, right? It's already hard for you guys to breathe. So imagine, getting COVID. And I was like, okay. She was like, I'm going to email you a note, and you send it to your boss. And I sent it to the boss. Well, the boss said, all right, I'm going to send it to the owner. And the owner wrote back, and he forwarded me the email. He's like, hey, he doesn't want you to work from home, because then everyone else is going to want to work from home. So I kind of lost respect for the company right there, kind of, because I didn't feel like they cared about my well-being. It was just more about business at that point. I thought it was more of a like, I get his situation. I'm going to let him work regardless of what anyone else, like, I'm going to let him work from home. Doctor's orders. And they made a big deal about it. But at this time, during COVID, is when people were stuck on their phones. So all the videos, like gym videos I had from working out early back in my garage days, I was telling you, going up and down the driveway. Yeah. I was showing like before and after, like where I'm at today, where I started. I was just putting videos, like storytelling with videos that I had in my archive, like old videos I had with new videos, and just like before and after. And when I was working at the engineering firm on Fridays, me and my friend, we would dress in suits. We would wear suits. And everyone else called it casual Friday. So everyone dressed down, but we dressed up, me and him. So like I said, I've always liked taking pictures and whatnot. So I would always have him take pictures of me. So one day he takes pictures of me, and we're on lunch, and I'm at the office, and I'm scrolling through TikTok. And at this point, I think I have like 5,000 followers. It's just very minimal. Just a couple people saw some of my parking videos. People like, don't park on the lines, and, basic things. And I made a video. It was a trend, and it was called what's the magazine called? The Vogue. It was called the Vogue magazine trend. And basically what it was is like, you put a picture of you, like you're on the cover of Vogue. Like basically it's like a Vogue magazine, and it kind of like puts the picture of you on the cover. And I did that trend, and it was like 5 pictures of me wearing suits, different times I wore different suits that I have. And I put it in, it auto puts them on the magazine cover for you. And I put that video, and I was like, what can I put on the caption? Like, what can I put on there? Because I really don't know what to put. And I was like, ooh, I always wanted to be a wheelchair model. which I never did. I just, it felt fitting for the type of photos they were. So I put always wanted to be a wheelchair model, and I posted it. And I went back to work, and then I looked to my right, and my phone was just like boom, like lighting up, like going crazy, boom, boom, boom. I'm like, I forgot what I put. Like I'm thinking, what's going on? I opened my phone up, and that video I posted like maybe like an hour ago is like at 500,000 views, and it had like maybe like 500, 600 comments, and people were like, "Oh my God, I never seen a guy in a wheelchair this sharp. This guy's handsome. You should definitely do it." And I'm like, "This is crazy." So that was like kind of one of my first like viral, I guess you could say, videos. It ended up getting like 800,000 views or whatnot. And this is in 2020. So I thought it was cool. So I put it on Instagram. I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna put it on Instagram. So I put it on Instagram, and it did well on Instagram. It didn't do as well as it did on TikTok, but I didn't even, at this point, I wasn't trying to be a content creator. Now I was just posting videos and pictures, and I posted it on my Instagram, and someone who was following me was actually signed to an agency and saw it and was like, "Hey, I live in Dallas." Shout out to Yvette. She's like, "I live in Dallas. I saw your video. I think you would be a great addition to the agency that I'm with. I can send this video to my agent if you're interested." And remember, I never wanted to do any of this stuff.
Yeah.
I was working as an engineer. I was blessed to have an engineering job. I'm like, yo, I'm the only one who didn't go to college working here. Like I'm happy with this job. And I was like, in my head, I'm like, you know what do I have to lose? I said, yeah, if you don't mind, set it up. Let me know what he says.
Yeah.
So she comes back to me and says, this is his email. He wants to meet you. So you can just get a hold of him and set up a day that works best for both of y'all. And I met up with him, and I left with a contract. Like we talked, and he was like, hey, I want to sign you. I love your photos. I think you're very photogenic. I love your personality. And I don't just want to use you for modeling. I want to use you for acting and doing commercials as well. Because I was already doing like YouTube and stuff like that, little videos, like long videos of YouTube, me and my daughter and stuff. So I guess he looked me up, and he looked at my stuff, and he was like, I really like your personality, and I think you really got a good, like, the way you carry yourself, very well spoken. I think you can go far in this industry. And I was like, okay, like I don't know what I'm doing, but okay, yeah. So he ends up signing me, and within 2 weeks, I booked my first commercial, in Austin, Texas, and it's during COVID, so I had to drive to Austin, do a COVID test, and drive back. And I'm like, do I really have to do that? Like, there's nowhere I can, because they used to do them like at CVS, where you can do them there, you can get the results in a couple of days. And he was like, no, because of this set, it's got to be done within the production, because they were looking for a Austin hire. So basically meaning like they want Austin talent. They don't care if you're coming from out of state or wherever, you can do the job, but they're not going to cover any travel or anything. So I was like, man, this is back and forth. That's 2 tanks of gas. And he was like, well, it pays about $5,000. And I'm like, how many times do I need to go back and forth? And he was like, that's why I wouldn't complain. He's like, but if you don't want to do it. And I'm like, no. I can go back as many times I need to go, because it's only a 3.5, 4 hour drive. So, but it's about 2 tanks of gas, So I was just, and I didn't know what it paid because I'm new. So I didn't know what to look for. I didn't ask questions. He told me, and I was like, yeah, I don't care how many times I have to go. But the problem is that those commercials were like on Tuesdays and Wednesdays and Thursday. It was never weekends. So I used PTO to do this. And I was like, man, I need to make a decision, because he told me, he was like, if you think you can go full time in this, I'll recommend you quit your job. Now, I'm not telling you to do it, but if you feel like this is something you really want to do, it may start impacting your work, because no jobs you're going to book are going to shoot on Friday, Saturday, Sunday. There may be very few, but I've been in this industry 25 years, and you're going to get very little that are on the weekend. It's all weekday stuff. And you may be having to travel to Austin, because Austin was like one of the big hubs at that moment during COVID, where they were allowing a lot more stuff. And I was like, okay. So I thought about it, and I said, you know what, I'm going to take a chance on myself, because I already had wanted to do YouTube for a living. I wanted to do YouTube and make these videos. And I thought this would be like a secondary type of income I can get. And I was like, you know what, I'm going to take a chance on myself. And I put my 2 weeks in, and I quit. And I went all in on like the social media stuff. And a week later, I got asked to be on the cover of New Mobility magazine, which was November 2020. I was on the cover of that, and just opportunities just started to present themselves. And I'm like, dang, this was like the best chance I ever took. I mean, I haven't looked back. It's 2024, and I'm nowhere close to even taking a step back. I'm just continuing to keep growing. I mean, national television on the Jennifer Hudson show.
That's incredible. How did that happen?
Articles on the Good Morning America. I mean,
How did
Just be
Jennifer Hudson
authentic.
happen?
You know, you be authentic, you know, share your life and just be real with it. Like I said, I'm earlier when we started the stream, I'm one of the most real, open, vulnerable people who's not scared to talk about. I may shit myself. I may piss on
Mm-hmm.
myself. Yeah, I may have to take a pill to
Mm-hmm.
have an erection or have to take a shot or this is what I like. I'm vulnerable enough to open these doors and talk about these things, and people are drawn to vulnerability. And I tell my life
Absolutely.
story. This is what I've been through. This is shit I've been through. Excuse my language. This is stuff I've been through. And look, I didn't give up, and I'm still out here taking care of my daughter. I'm still out here living on my own, providing for myself, paying my bills, driving my own vehicle, traveling the world. There's people who are able-bodied who make excuses on why they can't take care of their child. Like I have my own place. I take my own trash out. Nobody helps me. It's not to say it's bad if you need help because there's nothing wrong with that. But there's what the point is if there's able-bodied people out here making excuses every day on why they can't do things, and
Absolutely.
someone like me out here who's sitting down for a living is doing these things. So just putting realness out there, and someone started following me who was a production from her show was like, oh my God, like I've been following you. We have to feature you on the show. Like just everything about you. You're so open, so authentic. Like you are definitely what the world needs to see. Like a lot of people glorify like creators or social media people for the wrong reasons when there's people out here doing real impactful things who get overshadowed and overlooked, right? Like I'm not doing a TikTok dance and gaining millions of followers. I'm showing how to live life and be successful paralyzed. Why isn't this being
Absolutely.
shown across the world? Why is it this is motivation for whatever race you are, whatever color you are, whatever age you are. You don't have to dance. Like this is lifestyle. This man is up every day taking care of business, sitting down. Like, why isn't this being glorified on all national television shows, on the news segments? Because how many people can see this who have similar situations or just feeling like they're hopeless and can give them the motivation, whether they're in a wheelchair or not, to keep going. So
Absolutely.
that's how that
So
happened.
it's incredible. Like how, that whole story took a long time, but it's incredible
Hmm.
the links of all that. It's like,
Yeah,
but it just shows like you just don't stop
you
because you
can't
just keep
stop. You got to believe in yourself.
re
Yeah.
like reinventing yourself actually.
Hmm.
But tell me a little bit about this. Like, how do you see disability representation in like the modeling and the entertainment industry? Because, me, I feel like I'm seeing it so much more now.
Yeah, so much more.
And
Yeah, it's getting a lot
yeah,
bigger.
so you have a lot more opportunity, I would think, these
For
days.
sure. For sure. I think right now, like if this is something you see, people see me and they're always like, how do I get in this? How do I get in? And it's like, it's a lot more than just how do I get in this? Like you have to be comfortable being in a room with 30 complete strangers with cameras in your face and lights hanging over you. Like, and you can't freeze up like this. You have to be comfortable in these environments. So everyone sees the pictures when, I'm on JC Penney or I'm on Michael's or whatever I'm doing. Oh my God, that's so awesome. But you don't see the behind the scenes and all the stuff that's there where you got to be comfortable enough to roll around there with your head up and like you own the room. You got to have that confidence. You can't just go in there with your head down and be scared because they're going to coach you. And if you're not listening, they'll get rid of you. This is business.
Yeah.
This is business, but it's growing so much. And I love seeing all the other people with different disabilities, whether it's spina bifida, amputees, like so many other
Yeah.
getting opportunities to do modeling and acting roles as well. So, and just everyone, like I have a couple people I follow on Instagram who are doing their things as well, on different sides of the states. And it's just good to see because I think it's just going to get so much bigger and so much better.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I feel like more
Absolutely.
brands are going to start coming out with adaptive wear too, like Nike. Like they have like flywear shoes and a couple of small things. But I feel like in the next 5 years, they're going to have their own like adaptive line, like specifically for people with disabilities for sure.
I totally agree. I think
Yeah.
just that it's so much more in the mainstream now. People
It's
are
getting
saying,
there.
yes,
Yeah.
this is a money making industry.
Yeah.
And it's yes, we should do it, but also it's a huge money making industry.
It is, but
So
it takes people to get out there, like people like us, to like raise those things. Like, where's our stuff at? Like this is
yeah,
cool, but it doesn't work sitting down. You know what I mean? So there's
yeah,
creators that do a lot of like get ready with me or fashion stuff, and they're like, I ordered this on Amazon, but this is what it looks like sitting down, right? And it's raising those awareness concerns. Like, it looks good standing up, but sitting down, look how bunchy it is in the midsection area, or the pants when you sit down in a wheelchair. Now it looks like you're high watering. You know what I mean? So like having those people who are coming out and like raising those awarenesses and like showing like, hey, we need seated options as well, because now I wasted $30 and now I got to send it back because it don't look good in a wheelchair
yeah. Or I have to take my suit jacket and get it completely
and get it
tailored and
completely
redone
tailored. Yeah.
so it's
Yeah.
short and not get
Mm-hmm.
in my wheels.
You got to get in my
Totally.
wheels. Exactly.
So you're always looking so good. the outfits, like you really do have a great sense of fashion. And when you travel, you take it with you.
I
And
do.
I watched your trip with you and Kevin, which I can only imagine the behind the scenes of that trip.
Yeah, that's my brother, man. Shout out to Kev, man. I met Kevin last year and we just clicked it off. Like, I never realized how important it was to have someone who's like you in the community to make how much better it makes your life. You know what I mean? Like, I was always this tough guy. Like, I don't need no wheelchair friends. I'm good. And then me and Kev, like, we both like boxing. We both like sports. Like, we both like we understand each other. You know, we both like to dress nice, smell good. Like, you know, so it's just like we just like one or the other. Like yin and yang. Like we really clicked. And he's I would say he's like one of my best friends for sure.
I love it. I could only have one of you on my show. And I mean, you said yes. So sorry, Kevin. Could have
Yeah,
been you,
sorry,
but
Kev.
no.
Don't worry, Kev. I'm
Sorry,
gonna hold it
sorry.
down for us, Kev. I'm gonna hold it down for us.
So you guys took a big trip.
Yeah,
It was
Colombia.
it was South America, yeah.
Yeah.
Uh, tell me a little bit about that, and let's talk about accessibility and travel. So talk a little bit about that trip and accessibility, specifically in Colombia.
So it was my birthday. My birthday was August 14th. So we went out August 9th to like August, I want to say like 19th or something. I can't remember exactly. We was there for about 10 days. And I said, hey, bro, I want to do something for my birthday. And he said, what do you want to do? And I said, I want to take a trip. And he said, like, where? And I said, I want to just do something different. And he said, well, let's go. He wanted to do Paris because the Paralympics was in Paris.
Yeah.
And we looked it up and it was like 3,200, 3,500. And I was like, what about Colombia? I don't know why I just said, what about Colombia? It just came to me and I looked it up and it was like 1,250 or something. And I'm like, bro, we can do like 2 Colombia trips for the price of that, you know? So just make what made more sense. I mean, Paris would have been cool, but the Colombia trip just made more sense because, you know, the money you're going to spend out there for, you know, food and travel and everything else. So we did the Colombia trip and he just like I said, Kev's like my brother. He didn't think twice. We was on the phone and we booked 10 minutes after talking about it, you know. We found a hotel. We had to go down the list, so it would have been nice to have Will the World, but we went down the list to find.
Yes, we can help you.
Now going forward, we definitely have that now. I was trying to find a hotel with 2 accessible roll-in showers because they have accessible tub, but that's not going to work for me. I need roll-in shower.
Yeah.
So we found some hotels, but accessibility out there is not great. I'll be honest with you. We went with Kev's dad, and one of Kev's friends that lives out there was assisting us. So they do have ramps and they do have things accessible, but the ramps are like this. You know what I mean? Like steep, like super steep. So they do have accessibility, but the codes are a lot different out there. I'm assuming if they even have any type of a code out there. So it is definitely something I feel like if you go to Colombia and you're in a wheelchair, definitely good to have an able-bodied person around, especially if you're not familiar with the area. Everything is like a street, so you have a flat street, but then you go down a ramp, and then there's like a flat street. Like the streets are like this because it's mountains, like it's like the hills.
Oh, yeah.
So the streets are like this, but like the street is straight. So if you want to go down the street, you can go straight, but if you want to go down to the next street, you got to go down a slope, and then it's like flat.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So we experienced that, and the guy told us like you might want to take a cab down to the next street, and we're like, me and Kev, we looked at each other like, nah, we're good. Like we don't need no cab. So as soon as we're going down the hill, we're like, bro, we should have taken a cab because it's like, you know, we're holding our hands, trying to hold us from going too fast. We don't have gloves on, or that's
Your hands are getting hot.
our hands are getting hot. I'm like, bro, we should have got a cab. He was like, we know better next time. Luckily, the street wasn't too far down, and then the streets, there's like potholes and stuff in them, so you got to be really, really careful out there. But it wasn't like super non-accessible. We made it work, but I definitely wouldn't go by myself.
Yeah.
I definitely wouldn't go by myself. Yeah.
So what's your favorite place you've been to that's accessible or more accessible?
I would say out of the country would be Barcelona. Like I went to Barcelona. I didn't have trouble.
Yeah.
I didn't have trouble going anywhere in Barcelona. I'm talking about the buses, the Ubers, everywhere, the restaurants, everything was accessible. Even though the restaurants were like really small, they're like side by side, like little small. It had like a door, but then like they had a button they would push and it would hold the door while you go up the ramp. Because a lot of stuff you had to pull. So they had it set up to where the door would stay open till you go in and you hit the button again, then it would close. So I didn't have any problems with accessibility out there in Barcelona. So that was really, really fun. I just went with my older cousin, so I'm more like I want to go out there and party and have a good. I like the nightlife. So nightlife in
Yeah, you do.
Colombia unmatched. Like, but I can't say nightlife in Barcelona because my cousin didn't really want to do too much partying out there. He was more for the sightseeing tourist stuff, which I'm
Hmm.
very appreciative for. Because if I would have went with the boys, we wouldn't have done like the what is it called, the chapels and all the nice stuff out there. Yeah,
Yeah,
the cathedrals.
Sagrada
The
Familia, the
Grata Familia,
beautiful
yeah, we
cathedral.
wouldn't have done none of that. I'm
Yes.
pretty sure we would have just partied and woke up with hangovers, probably. The time we were out there. So I am appreciative for my cousin for wanting to do those type of things, and we did all those historical markers where people go and see. So, um,
So let's talk about attitudes towards disability in those two countries. Like, how did you feel in Colombia as far as like their attitudes towards someone with a disability?
man, they're like super helpful. Like I guess they kind of know like it's so like non-accessible out there. So like if you're rolling, like I got, you want me to help you? I'm like, nah, I'm okay, because like literally you got to pop a wheelie over a lot of stuff to get around.
Yeah.
I mean, there is the street is like cobblestone and stuff, so you got to kind of bounce around, adjust your legs a little bit. But when you get to like the establishments, like it's always like one step to get in, you know.
Mhm.
So a lot of the workers, hey, we'll carry you, you know. And I'm like, no, 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 it's okay. My friend's dad and his friend is gonna carry me just because they know how to handle the chair and
Yeah.
whatnot. So excuse me, but the same thing in Spain, in Barcelona. Like they're very like accommodating. They don't make you feel like you're an inconvenience or anything. Like we wait for the buses. The bus guy comes, the ramp goes down. They don't like look at you and be like, "Oh," like I've had situations where I've been and I'm
Mhm.
like, hey, I need the ramp on the bus, and they're like, dang, now I got to do extra work,
In Atlanta? Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so I've been through those before. So I never felt like that anywhere. Those are there in Mexico is the only three places I've been out the country, but Mexico is not accessible at all either. Like that was pretty non-accessible. Like they don't even have like the buses that come and the shuttles they come. They're all like little buses type stuff. So it's really hard to even transfer into those.
Mhm.
It's either high passenger side or two steps to get into like a van, and it's like super hard. So that's not really accessible either. But Barcelona, you call it Uber, whatever. They have actual Uber out there. Like they're small cars. They're really small. The cars out there are really small, but it's easy to transfer in. No problem, no problem at all.
So what do you say to people that are like, "Oh, I'm just too nervous to travel." What would you say to them?
You got to just get out, man. You got to live a little bit. You got to, everything is scary, but you can't let fear control your life. You know, even not saying you have to take your first trip out the country, but if you haven't traveled, take a trip. Just somewhere here locally in the, in the U.S. where it's going to be a little more accessible, and you don't have to worry about some of because there is some things you have to worry about out the country, like figuring it out. But you have to be spontaneous when you're doing the out the country stuff. You have to go with intentions of knowing like I know some stuff's not going to be accessible, but I'm going to figure it out. You have to have that attitude because if you go and you're like, it's not, and you're all pissed off and upset now and you're mad and you're like, dude, you're on vacation. Like, just figure it out. There's always a way. I always tell people, there's always a way. It may not be the way you want it to be done, but there's always a way to figure something out. There's always a way. So can't let one little
There's
bad
always a way.
experience or one bad thing, throw you off.
Okay, so when you're on all your traveling adventures out of the country, do you find meeting women easier in the US or meeting women outside of the country?
Um, in the U.S., just because my Spanish isn't the best, the Spanish speaking places I've been to, my Spanish is
Ah,
not the
no
best.
hablo español.
Yeah, sí, un poquito español. So like, I can communicate enough, but it's definitely easier in the U.S. Because in the U.S. you get English and you could throw in a little Spanish too, but Colombia is puro español. Like you just Spanish only. So
Todos.
yeah, so you can pull out that translator and like, hola, how are you? So, but it seemed pretty common out there, like communicating, like even when you're ordering food and stuff, like most of the menus and everything's in Spanish out there. So a lot of even the workers will pull out their phones and tell you like, this is, how much it is. Cause the conversion is different as well. The money conversion and whatnot. So
Mm.
it's pretty, they know what's up out there. We went and ordered some food and I'm like, what, and he put it on his phone and I looked and said, oh, okay. Okay.
Wait, so you're wheelchair pappy, but you don't speak fluent Spanish?
Nah, I'm a Tex-Mex kid. Yeah.
Oh, you're
Yeah.
like a
Yeah.
liar.
Yeah. I'm trying my best. I'm getting better though. I've gotten a lot better over time for sure. when you
Wow.
when you grow up in a
Well,
household, it's not really spoken. It's just I grew up on pure English. Like even to this day, like the Spanish I'm learning is from myself learning, not from like my family like teaching me.
mhm.
So
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So one thing on your socials, you're super candid about dating and sex and just disability life in that regard. So what do you think some of the biggest misconceptions are about dating when it comes to being in a wheelchair?
I think most women think that like disabled men, obviously they don't think they can have sex for one, because I get so many like comments like, can you still do new
Can't even
you know
imagine
what?
how many comments.
Yeah, like that's like the number. It's like you don't even know my name, and you ask like that's the first thing you ask me. Like, how are you doing today? I feel like most people think that a man can't get a hard on, can't get an erection, who's in a wheelchair or not in a wheelchair, but who's paralyzed. Because
Mhm.
when I do speak, I say like I'm paralyzed. I never say I'm in a wheelchair, because being in a wheelchair doesn't mean you're paralyzed. Some people
You're
just
right.
could have a mobility device to help walk or move around. But so most women they don't think that you can get an erection. And I feel like when it comes to dating as well, I think a lot of women feel like if they date a man in a wheelchair, it's being a caregiver. It's not really being like a
Mm.
partner. It's like, oh, well, I don't want to have, because I've had people like say like, oh, well, I just don't really feel like being a caregiver, like having to drive someone around all the time or do. And I'm just in my head, I'm just like, I do more shit than you. Like,
Yeah.
so I think that's very like what most people think. But because I said, like I mentioned last time, there's not a lot of people putting that out there for people to see, right?
Hmm.
So like when I got paralyzed, I'm like, damn, I don't want to wear Velcro shoes and Velcro gloves and stuff, because that's what you go on Google back in the day, 2014, you put man in wheelchair, they're gonna have sweats and Velcro shoes and gloves on. It wasn't a guy swagged out in a suit with a couple buttons open, tattoos and chains.
Yeah.
You didn't have that. So I feel like a lot of stuff today is like it's just not a lot of awareness out there, and people are doing it now, which is amazing. But yeah, I think most women think like either they can't get an erection, they can't get hard, and then
Or the
they feel like a
caregiver
caregiver.
aspect.
For sure, I think those are the
Uh,
top two.
have you used dating apps at all?
No, I haven't, but I've been kind of wanting to get on some of the dating apps just to,
Because
because
they're
I feel
fun.
like, yeah, I kind of want to just see what it's like. Like I haven't been on it, but I have friends who've been on it, and I'm like, man, the city's so small. Like obviously, I want to like get with someone. I would want to get with someone like locally, like in my city, but then it's like it's so small, so it's like everyone knows everyone, and it's kind of like, well, maybe I can meet someone like in Dallas, but how do I meet them if I don't go out there? So they'll be on a dating app. So I've thought about it, but then at the same time, in my life right now, I don't know if I really have the time to commit to someone. Not that I can't be loyal, but to give someone that I feel like they would deserve if they gave me the time. But I really don't know if I have that in me right now, just because I'm so busy with being a dad and doing my career and what I have going. So it would definitely have to be someone who's very understanding of what I do for a living, and understand that whatever time I can give you is all I can give you for the moment.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Well, you seem like you're someone that like you would put yourself out there. Like you have that confidence. It doesn't. Uh, you wouldn't hesitate. My question is, what do you say to other people like that are like, I don't know how to get back into dating?
You gotta find that self love within yourself. Like I mentioned
Mm.
early on, I wouldn't be where I'm at today is if I didn't put that trash bag on and go up and down that driveway and look at myself and be like, okay, like I'm starting to feel like myself again. But I said, I'm not gonna be the old Anthony. I'm gonna be the new Anthony. So you just gotta find that self love, man. You gotta find something that makes you happy. Like for me, it was getting in the gym, working out, and getting sexy. Because if you can't look at yourself in the mirror and say, I would date this person right here. Like I look at myself in the mirror right now. I'm looking at myself in the camera. I would date me. Nice, charming, nice smile, well groomed. I would
Mm.
date me. But if you would have asked me that in 2016, I'd be like, nah, I wouldn't even look at that guy. Like the guy
Mm.
doesn't look like he has any confidence, rolling with his head down. Like you got to find that self love within yourself and ask yourself, how bad do you want it? It doesn't even have to be dating. It has to be for you. Like there's nothing better than self love. I take myself to dinner. I go take myself to the
Love it.
movies. I do all this on my own. Like if I want to go to a nice restaurant, I'll throw a suit on and go to a nice restaurant by myself. I don't need company because I love myself that much to do those things. But it took a long time to get there. This is 10 years in the game. We're 10 years
Yeah.
in. So it took about the first 2-3 years was a lot of figuring out. And then once I kind of got a little taste of it, I wanted more and more and more. And now it just comes naturally. Like I said, going to the gym is my daily routine. I don't think about it no more. Like, oh dang, I don't want to go today. I know what I have to do today because I know what goals I want to hit and I know what it takes. Hard work, dedication, and The only person that can stop you is you.
So what's the strength? You have 350,000 people that are following you on Instagram. That's a lot of people. A lot of
Yeah.
people.
I just hit 1 million
What's
on
this?
TikTok.
No. Woohoo.
Yeah.
Let's
Yeah. A couple,
go.
like 2, 3 weeks ago, I hit 1 million on TikTok. Yeah. Yeah.
Dang, man. That's awesome.
Yeah. 400 on Facebook.
S-
So it's like probably like 2 million combined. Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
incredible.
Yeah. God is good.
Seriously. Like,
I guess he gets to
God,
use me to share my story and motivate people across the world.
do you feel that faith is a new part of your journey or has always been a part of your
It's
journey?
always been a part of my journey. Always been a believer. You have doubts, like everyone, I'm not perfect. Why me? What I do to deserve this? You know, I think that's a question a lot of people have when they first get injured. But then as time goes on, you start saying like, dang, I see it now. Like I see the purpose that I'm bringing into my life now. Like I have a purpose now. Before I was just living for money, living for partying and buying clothes and jewelry. Now I have people who come to me every day, who write me every day. Like, I love watching you. Like, you give me so much joy. You give me so much hope. Like, my brother's in a wheelchair and just seeing you succeed lets me know that he's going to be okay. I'm doing something with my life, and I would never change nothing for that.
You really wouldn't change your
I
life.
wouldn't change anything. No, I wouldn't. I wouldn't go back in time and change anything. No. I'm
Wow,
proven
that's
I'm proven you can be successful paralyzed. You can be a father paralyzed. You can still live your best life paralyzed. You can still be sexy and dress nice paralyzed. Like,
yeah, you
I'm
can.
literally that person. Someone has to be that. Someone has to be Kobe Bryant. Someone has to be LeBron. Someone has to be Oscar De La Hoya. Someone has to be Floyd Mayweather. Someone has to be this in this position here. Why not Anthony Sanchez?
When you go into those rehab centers and you bring Anthony into the like full on Anthony and you show these guys who you are,
Hmm.
I mean, it gives them, I can do it. If he can do it, I can do it.
Exactly. ACIC.
Like, I
Hmm.
guess.
Yeah, that's
I
where it
love
came
it.
from. Yeah, and I do, and I tell them, I'm open with them, and I'm honest with them. So you see, you can look at all because they know about me. When I go there, they already know about me. I said, you see what you see online, but let me show you what it took to get here, and let me tell you that you can get here too. It may not be, you may
Mm,
not want to do acting and modeling. You may want to be a bodybuilder. I got some friends in the bodybuilding lane. You might want to do the wheelchair motocross. I got some friends who are in that lane. So there's so many things out here you can do. Now I said, my friend Taylor, he does pickleball. You want to do pickleball? Like, I got you. Like, there's so many things. I'm connected in so many different avenues. Let me know. You want to travel? Will the World can get you taken care of. Like, I'm plugged in so many different avenues, so resource that people just want to know that life is going to be okay.
yeah,
When someone tells you you'll never walk
absolutely.
again, you're paralyzed, people just want to know, am I still going to have a life?
Yeah,
And yes, you can. Look at me.
absolutely. So, curious. So, when you say that, you have built 2 million people, what is the strangest thing that someone has DM'd you with that you can share on this show?
What's the strangest thing? Um, I don't know. I've gotten quite a bit of stuff. A lot of stuff is, I mean, I'm a single man, so a lot of stuff is like, maybe not to be sharing on the show, but I mean, I've had a lot of stuff. I mean, I've had people tell me like they'll like up and leave significant others and come like live with me and like be my caregiver, and I'm like, well, I don't need a caregiver. They're like, well, be your wife, and I'm like, well, I don't even know you. Like, you were willing to leave, like leave your whole family for a guy in a wheelchair in Texas.
Probably don't
So,
want her. Probably don't
yeah,
want her.
exactly. I'm good. Thank you so much. But I've had a lot of just some crazy stuff. But yeah, you just never know what you're gonna get in today's time. It's
The
crazy.
crazy stuff though, what I love also is the other stuff that you're saying where people are like, you bring me so much joy,
Yeah.
and that's awesome. That has to make you feel so good about
It
what you're
makes me feel
doing.
great about it because, like I said, it just reassures me that I'm living my purpose. Because I like, if
Yeah.
you watch my page, Joy, you see my stuff. Like, I'm not out here chasing attention. Like, yeah, I may throw some flirty stuff in there because you got to understand, social media is about entertainment,
Mhm.
right? But you can look at my videos and say, okay, he's being serious here. He's being flirty here. This is the daddy daughter stuff here. This is modeling and acting career. If you really look at my page, you can tell what's flirty, what's funny, what's entertainment, what's real, right? When I talk about stuff, you can tell in my tone and how I'm looking. I'm not throwing no little
Mhm.
flirty stuff in there. I'm being honest. Like, this is what I had to go through today. This, bladder Botox. I keep getting UTIs, da da da. Right? I'm being open and vulnerable. Yeah, I might have shit myself, and this is things I have to worry about. So when I travel long distance, I wear, I wear it depends. Like, I'm not
Mhm.
making jokes in those things, right? But I'm like, yo, I got this VIP parking, baby. Come sit on my lap. I got you, VIP, wherever you want to go, Target, front row. I'm being flirty and funny. Like I'm just shining some light on the wheelchair and some of the perks that come with it. But that's being funny. So some people see it, some people don't. But at the end of the day, like social media, for the most part, it's entertainment. If you're a content creator, you got to figure out what you want to do. And I want to be multi-purpose. I don't want to be one-dimensional. We have creators already who just do specifically spinal cord injury awareness, and their whole page is built on that. And that's great. So like, if you want to know something about spinal cord injury laws, this is the person to follow for that. Like someone like me, you want someone who's just going to shine light and show like living life in a wheelchair. You got me, you got Kev, people like that. You want to see someone who does like bodybuilding. I got some friends over there that can do that, So like, you just got to choose what you want to do. And I like being open book.
Yeah, you've really developed a community now of people in wheelchairs around you. Like before, you were like, "No, I don't. I'm good. I don't need that."
Yeah.
What's the thing that like why do you think it's important to have that wheelchair community?
You
What's that
just
do for you?
you could just connect on so many different levels. Like shout out to like my boy Wheelchair Kev for sure. My boy AR the inspiration. He's someone else that I talk to often. My boy Wheelchair Love. So like these guys here, like we all talk about like sexual things. Like, dang, bro, like what would you do in this situation? Like if this doesn't work, like just what kind of tricks can you do you have in your bag that maybe I don't know and that I can exchange to you. So just we all get it. It's not weird. Like I can't call one of my able-bodied friends I grew up with and be like, bro, if the trimix ain't working, like what do I do? He's gonna be like, what? What is that? You know what I mean? Like, so just having that, sense of knowing they understand, like people understand, and I think that's so important to have. And I didn't realize that until last year, how important. Don't get me wrong. I had friends that I would talk to on Instagram, DM and stuff like that. But I'm talking about on a personal level, like phone calls, three-way Zoom calls, me, my boy Van, Kevin, we're talking boxing and we're talking, hey, hold on, give me a second, I'm gonna go cath. And we're like, what catheter you use? Make sure you wash your hands and, stuff like that. Like you just get it, and it just makes life a little bit better because you feel like you're not the only one,
I think that's so important to let other people know about that because some people try to go alone
Yeah,
and
they
they're
do.
like, that once you're out of rehab, they don't find that group, and
Mm-hmm.
it's important.
It
It's so
is
important.
because when I was in rehab, I had the people there that I would talk to in rehab. But once I got out, there was nobody there but just me in my wheelchair. And I was like, I don't want a wheelchair I don't need that. I'm in a wheelchair. One's enough. But now, like having my friends who are in chairs that understand it just makes it so much. I can call them and, hey, bro, what do you think, bro? Like, if this ain't working, or like if you're going, on a 10-hour flight, like what would you do? Like, how would you cath? And they'll be like, oh,
Yeah.
call so and so. They can hook you up to get you a leg bag, or whatever, or try to get a window so you can put your blanket over you and cath and
Put your
just sit.
blanket.
Yeah, or sit next to someone. Make sure that y'all sit and let them know at the gate, hey, I have to pee, so I need my friend to sit next to me. Like this has
Yeah.
to, just whatever. Like, so getting that advice from them and knowing. So when I go, I have some type of argument or what I can say that, well, my friend went and he did this and this and y'all, just having that. And because I can go in there not knowing anything and fumble across my words and not know what I'm going to do, and going with that like confidence of like, okay, I'm gonna be good. 10-hour flight. Okay. I can do catheter 2 times there. I'm gonna ask for a window seat and have my friend sit next to me in the middle. So who's going to see me? Nobody,
Doesn't matter. You
Yeah.
do your thing.
You got to do your thing anyways.
Well,
Yeah.
At the end of every Travel Talk with Joy, I have some questions that people want to know.
Okay.
Popcorn round of questions. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Okay. Favorite country to travel?
Well, I've only been to a couple. So right now I would say, based on the food, the girls, the weather, Colombia.
Okay. Most important thing to travel with you, to bring when you travel?
Catheters for sure.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Best show to binge with your daughter?
Cobra Kai.
Mm-hmm. Mountains or beach?
Beach.
Favorite band or artist?
Hold on, my room is going on. Favorite band or group?
Uh-huh. Or artist?
Artist.
Music?
Drake.
Essential snack on an airplane?
Pretzels and a Coca-Cola.
Yes.
They have the little pretzels in the little bag. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh, I do.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't ever take anything on. I get the ones that they give you on the plane. So, yeah, the pretzels and the Coke is definitely an easy go-to.
Person you admire most?
Person I admire most? I would probably have to say probably my grandfather. My
For
grandfather.
a second there, For a second, I thought you were going to say myself.
No, I'm not that
For
too
one
into myself.
second. Okay, best place to meet women.
Probably not the smartest place, but nightclub.
Yep. Best line you've said to a woman recently.
If your legs are hurting, you can take a seat on my lap. It worked.
Nice.
It worked.
Nah, I bet it did.
I mean, when you have a charming face and smile like this, it's
I
kind of
mean,
hard for it not to work.
it's hard. Dream vacation.
Bora Bora.
Good choice.
Yeah.
Good choice.
It's
Well,
somewhere I've always
you
wanted
made
to
it.
go. Yeah.
It was an easy.
It was, and my
Easy
roommate
10
was going crazy,
questions.
so I apologize, but she's
It's
stuck right
okay.
now.
It's
Yeah.
okay. But thank you for just talking with us about your life and what you've been doing. Like, it really is a joy to follow you.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you
And
so much.
I know that our community will be interested in, following you, and you'll get some new people in your community too. But
Yeah, it's awesome.
also to everyone out there, Accessible Journeys magazine just came out with a new episode. Please take a look at Accessible Journeys. It's really interesting, good new magazine. And thank you for watching Travel Talk with Joy. We'll see you all
Thank you,
next time.
Joy.
See ya.